All right, get ready for another deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at the Sony Xperia 1.3. We've got a review from RechargeMyTopup.com, and they're calling it a flagship device.
You know, what's really interesting about this phone is that Sony's not trying to be everything to everyone. They're really focusing on a specific kind of user.
Okay, so who are they targeting with this phone? The review mentions all these crazy features, but I need to know who benefits the most.
Well, think about the person who's super into multimedia. Movies, music, games, even photography. This phone is almost like a portable production studio.
I see. So let's start with the screen. 6.5-inch OLED display, 4K HDR resolution.
Yeah, you're basically getting the same resolution as a high-end TV.
Wow. And then there's that 21.9 aspect ratio. What's the advantage of that?
Think about watching a movie, right? No black bars, just pure widescreen goodness.
It's like having a mini movie theater in your pocket.
Pretty much. And to make the experience even more immersive, Sony's included their 360 reality audio technology. It's designed to make the sound feel like it's coming from all around you.
Okay, now that's something I'd have to hear to believe.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the camera, because this is where things get really interesting. A triple 12MP camera system. We've got wide, ultra-wide, and even a telephoto lens.
Yeah, and that telephoto lens is a game changer, especially if you're into photography. It has up to 70mm focal length. You can zoom in on faraway stuff and still get amazing detail. You wouldn't have to sacrifice quality just because you're not right up close.
Okay, that makes sense for serious photographers, but what about someone like me? I take a lot of pictures, but I'm no pro. Would I even use all of those fancy camera features?
Bro, even if you're not a pro, this phone has something for you. It's got AI-powered real-time tracking autofocus. So even if you're trying to photograph something that's moving, like a kid or a pet, you're more likely to get a crisp, in-focus shot.
Oh, wow. That's actually super helpful. It's like having an assistant that helps you get the perfect shot every time. But can this phone even handle all of this without slowing down or crashing?
Right. Well, for that, they've included the Snapdragon 888 chipset. At the time this phone came out, it was one of the best mobile processors you could get. And then to top it off, you've got 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage.
256 gigabyte. That's insane.
Oh, and it's expandable, too. You can add up to a terabyte if you need to.
A terabyte? That's more storage than my laptop. So no storage anxiety with this phone, right?
Not at all.
All right, and what about gaming? This phone has a 120 hertz refresh rate. I keep hearing that it's a big deal, but I'm not really sure what it means.
So basically, a higher refresh rate means the screen can display more frames per second. Everything looks smoother, more responsive, especially in fast-paced games.
I see. So it would give you an advantage in a game like Call of Duty.
Yeah, definitely. The gameplay would feel much smoother and more responsive. And on top of that, they've included a game enhancer mode, which basically optimizes the phone for gaming. You can customize all sorts of settings to fine-tune the experience.
Wow, they really thought of everything. It seems like they're trying to make this phone perfect for every type of user.
And for those who are picky about their audio, they even included a headphone jack.
Oh yeah, you don't see those on many phones anymore.
It's a nod to the audiophiles out there who still prefer wired headphones.
It sounds like this phone is amazing, but I have a feeling there are some trade-offs, right?
Well, for one, it's pretty big. That 6.5-inch screen makes for a less pocketable phone. And then there's the weight. At 186 grams, it's definitely not a lightweight.
I guess that makes sense. It's like trying to fit a small tablet in your pocket. But I have a feeling the biggest trade-off is probably the price. This phone can't be cheap.
You're right about that. We'll get to the price tag in a bit, but first, let's talk about the camera in more detail. That Photography Pro app sounds really intriguing.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into that. This camera sounds like it's on another level. So this Photography Pro app, it's supposed to give you manual control over the camera, right?
Yeah, it's like having a DSLR in your pocket. You can adjust the shutter speed, ISO, white balance, even the focus.
Interesting. So could I create those cool, blurry background effects with it? Like those professional-looking portraits I see online?
Oh, absolutely. You can control the depth of field and create that pokey effect.
Okay, that sounds pretty awesome. But honestly, I'm not exactly a tech expert. Is this app even user-friendly?
Yeah, Sony did a good job making the app pretty intuitive. Plus, there are guides and tutorials right in the app to help you get started.
Okay, that's good to know. At least they don't just throw you in the deep end.
And there's something else I bet photographers will like.
What's that?
A dedicated shutter button right on the side of the phone.
Oh, I see. So you can hold it like a real camera.
Exactly.
Okay, what about this raw capture thing? I've heard photographers talk about it, but what does it even mean?
So raw capture basically means you're capturing all the data from the camera sensor.
Yeah.
No compression, no processing. It's like the purest form of the image.
Ah, I get it. So it's kind of like a digital negative.
That's a good way to put it. It gives you way more flexibility when you're editing.
That makes sense. So I guess if I'm serious about my photos and I want to edit them later, raw capture is the way to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so the camera sounds incredible. But let's move on to some other things. We talked about the size and weight earlier, but what about the overall design and build quality? Does it live up to the flagship label?
Well, the design is definitely sleek and minimalist. They've used premium materials, Gorilla Glass Victus for the screen, aluminum frame, and it's IP6568 rated, which means it's dust and water resistant.
So it can handle a little bit of rough housing. That's good, because I'm not exactly the most careful person.
It should be able to handle everyday wear and tear.
Okay, good.
Right.
And what about the battery life? Because with all these features, I imagine it must drain pretty quickly.
Actually, the Xperia 1.3 has a 4,500 milliamp battery. It should easily last you a whole day, even with heavy use.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. I hate having to constantly recharge my phone.
Yeah, no one wants battery anxiety.
Okay, so we've got a durable phone, good battery life, tons of amazing features, but let's be realistic. Who is this phone really made for? It's not for everyone, right?
You're right. It's definitely for a specific type of person. Someone who's passionate about creating content, whether that's photos, videos, or even mobile gaming. They're the ones who are really going to appreciate all the power this phone has.
So if I mostly just use my phone for calling, texting, and scrolling through social media, this phone would be overkill.
Yeah, you could definitely use it for that, but you wouldn't be taking advantage of everything it can do. There are plenty of other phones out there that would be a better fit for your needs, and probably a lot cheaper too.
That makes sense. It's like using a professional chef's knife to just cut up some fruit.
Exactly.
Okay, so now for the big question, the one we've all been waiting for. How much does this beast of a phone cost?
Well, get ready for it. The Sony Xperia 1/3 was priced at around $1,300 when it first came out.
Ooh, okay. That's definitely a serious investment. Not exactly pocket change.
Yeah, it's definitely a premium price for a premium phone. So the question is it actually worth it?
I guess it depends on what you're looking for, right?
Exactly. If someone really values a top-notch multimedia experience and they're serious about photography, then the Xperia 1/3 might be worth the splurge.
But if you're just using your phone for basic stuff like calling, texting, social media, then it's probably overkill.
Yeah, in that case, there are definitely more affordable options out there that would be a better fit.
It's like you wouldn't buy a Ferrari just to drive to the grocery store.
Exactly. That's a
Yeah.
perfect analogy.
Yep.
This phone's more like a specialized tool for people who really need that extra power and performance.
Okay, so we've talked about all the amazing features, the target audience, the price. Is there anything else we need to cover?
Oh, right. We haven't talked about the software yet.
The review mentioned that it runs a clean version of Android 11, right?
Yeah. And it's got Sony's minimalist user interface, which is always a plus.
I've always liked Sony's UI. It's just simple and easy to use.
Right. It's nice to have a phone that's not bogged down with a bunch of bloatware.
Yeah, definitely. So it seems like they've struck a good balance with the Xperia 1.3, all this cutting-edge tech, but still a user-friendly experience.
Exactly. It's like they've managed to combine power and simplicity.
All right, well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about the Sony Xperia 1.3. From the impressive camera and powerful processor to the premium design, and of course, that hefty price tag.
Yeah, I think we gave our listeners a pretty comprehensive overview.
It's been another fascinating deep dive.
I always enjoy getting to explore these cutting-edge devices. It's amazing to see how far smartphone technology has come.
Absolutely. And who knows what the future holds? Maybe we'll be diving into phones with holographic displays or something crazy like that in a few years.
The possibilities are definitely exciting.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. As always, we encourage you to do your own research and explore the topics that interest you.
And maybe even discover some hidden gems along the way.
That's right. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.